Clara Jenkins had always been a creature of habit. At 72, her mornings began with a quiet cup of green tea on the back porch, a gentle stretch of her stiffening joints, and a glance at the small vegetable patch she tended with care. For as long as she could remember, vegetables had been the cornerstone of her diet. But recently, her knees had been more swollen, her energy had waned, and her daughter insisted she see a specialist. Dr. Patel, a wiry man with a soft voice and a keen mind, listened to Clara as she listed her aches and her dedication to a healthy diet. He asked detailed questions about her meals and nodded thoughtfully as she described her typical day: steamed spinach and tomatoes at lunch, a hearty salad with peppers at dinner. "That's a solid foundation," he said, tapping his pen against his notepad. "But as we age, our bodies change, and what once nourished us might now be working against us. Some vegetables can increase inflammation, while others can help soothe it and boost energy." Clara's eyebrows rose. She leaned forward. "What should I avoid? And what should I add?" Dr. Patel folded his hands. "Let's start with what to limit. First, nightshades, specifically tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. These can worsen joint inflammation in some seniors, especially those prone to arthritis. They contain alkaloids, which can exacerbate stiffness and pain in susceptible individuals." Clara's mind ticked through her pantry. "I use a lot of tomatoes in my stews," she murmured. "Try swapping them out," Dr. Patel suggested. "Instead of nightshades, incorporate vegetables that are rich in anti-inflammatory compounds and joint-supporting nutrients. Three excellent choices are kale, sweet potatoes, and Brussels sprouts." Clara hesitated. She'd always thought of sweet potatoes as a holiday food, and Brussels sprouts reminded her of childhood dinners she'd tried to forget. But she was willing to learn. Over the next week, she reorganized her kitchen. The first thing to go was her beloved tomato sauce. She'd always made it from scratch, simmering fresh tomatoes with garlic and herbs. Instead, she experimented with a kale-based pesto, blending kale with olive oil, walnuts, and a touch of garlic. To her surprise, it was delicious spread on whole grain toast or stirred into soups. For lunch, she swapped her usual spinach and pepper salad with a kale and Brussels sprout slaw, shredding the Brussels sprouts finely and massaging them with lemon juice and a drizzle of honey softened their sharpness. She tossed in toasted almonds for crunch and a handful of cranberries for sweetness. The first bite was a revelation: bright, textured, and satisfying. Sweet potatoes found their way into her dinners. Instead of white potatoes, she roasted cubes of sweet potatoes with rosemary and olive oil, adding them to grain bowls or enjoying them alongside grilled fish. Their natural sweetness paired beautifully with savory herbs, and Clara found they didn't leave her feeling sluggish afterward. Within a month, Clara noticed subtle changes. The stiffness in her knees was less pronounced in the mornings, and she could walk her usual mile-long loop without stopping to rest. Her energy levels, too, seemed more stable throughout the day. But there were challenges. Avoiding tomatoes entirely was difficult. Clara missed her stews and soups, but she learned to adapt. She tried using pumpkin puree as a base for soups, adding depth without relying on nightshades. She discovered that a splash of balsamic vinegar and a dash of smoked paprika, which she used sparingly, could mimic the flavor depth she craved. Her daughter, curious about her mother's dietary shift, joined her for dinner one evening. Clara served roasted sweet potatoes, a kale and Brussels sprout salad, and baked salmon with a lemon dill sauce. As they ate, she explained what she'd learned about how certain vegetables could affect joints and energy. "It's not that tomatoes or peppers are bad for everyone," Clara said, "but for some of us, they can make joint pain worse. It's about listening to your body and adjusting." Her daughter nodded thoughtfully. "And you feel better?" Clara smiled. "I do. Not perfect, but better. And I like the variety. I never thought I'd enjoy Brussels sprouts, but here we are." Over time, Clara made these changes a permanent part of her life. She even expanded her garden to include kale and Brussels sprouts, experimenting with different varieties. Her friends noticed her renewed energy and asked for her recipes. She shared them gladly, offering tips for easy substitutions and flavorful combinations. There were still moments when she missed her old favorites. Occasionally, she indulged in a slice of pizza with tomato sauce or a bowl of ratatouille. But she treated these as treats, not staples, and always returned to her new routine afterward. Clara came to see her journey not as a strict diet, but as a flexible approach to aging well. She listened to her body's signals. They've tried new things and found joy in discovery. Her joints still reminded her of her years when the weather turned cold, but the swelling was less and her steps were lighter. One crisp autumn morning, as she harvested a basket of kale from her garden, Clara felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She had embraced change, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity to thrive in her later years. The vegetables she chose were more than ingredients, they were companions on her path to vitality. And as she prepared a salad of kale and Brussels sprouts with a side of roasted sweet potatoes for lunch, Clara smiled. This, she thought, was not just about what to avoid or what to add. It was about the choice to nourish herself wisely, to respect her body's changing needs, and to savor the delicious rewards of thoughtful living.